Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Today is October 11th. The division series are starting to wrap up. The championship series on the horizon. We got baseball to talk about. Let's do it. Hello, everybody. My name is Steven. This is the middle of the order. How are we doing today? Ladies and gentlemen, the ALDSs and the NLDSs, two of which have wrapped up, two of which still have one to go. The baseball this week was great. We got 10 games to review and look over, and we're going to dive right on into those to not waste any time here in today's episode. So, with that being said, let's take a look at the Tigers and the Guardians and talk about three games that they played this week. Starting with Game 2 of the series, the Guardians had the first game. They wrapped it up with the win. In Game 2, it was Tarik Skubal versus Matthew Boyd. The Tigers and the Guardians played what I would call a bit of a snoozer-fest game. The Tigers had some offense going, but the Guardians couldn't touch Skubal. If you loved pitching, this was a great game for you. Skubal was just dominant, and shout out Matthew Boyd because he had a nice start as well. 4 2/3, 4 hits, no earned runs, 5 Ks. That's great. It seemed like it was going to be just one of those long games in extra innings here, and eventually someone would hit a home run. In came Emmanuel Clase in the top of the ninth with 2 runners on. The Tigers go to their bench. Kerry Carpenter, of course, an absolute star, but didn't start because a lefty was on the mound. When there's facing a righty, he is much better, and that was an amazing battle that ends with Kerry Carpenter getting to Class A and crushing a 3-run home run. Probably the most electric moment for the Tigers all postseason long. That was a big one. They shut out the Guardians in the second game here, even up this series, and win it 3-0. That's huge for the Tigers, and I mean the closers just can't get it done. Class A comes in and just, yikes, blows it. Tough one for Emmanuel there, but I mean the offense here is also to blame. I mean Steven Kwan 1 for 4, Derek Fry 0 for 4, Jose Ramirez 0 for 3, and these guys are striking out two times. You know, Lane Thomas, the 3 guys that got the hits, it was Josh Naylor, it was Brian Rocchio, and of course Steven Kwan. So, you know, you got so many guys. You got 9 starters. You know, you went to Manzardo for a pinch hit. You went to Will Brennan for a pinch hit. The Guardians' offense just wasn't there, and that's because Skubal was absolutely dominant. 7 innings pitched, 3 hits, no earned runs, and 8 strikeouts. Just fantastic. They go to Will Vest, who's been great. And then Brisky at the end there strikes out 2 in his inning to get the save. And the Tigers, man, be fearful of them and watch out here. So let's now move to Game 3. And once again, the Guardians can't touch the Tigers pitching. Instead of Skubal, though, it's the bullpen day that's hindering the Guardians offense here. Bottom of the first, Riley Green, a single, scores the first run of the ball game. 2 innings later, in the bottom of the third, it's Matt Vierling with a sac fly to make it 2-0. And then in the bottom of the sixth, it's Spencer Torkelson that comes through with an RBI double. It's another 3-0 Tigers win. The Guardians get blanked out once again, and the Tigers take a 2-1 series lead and is 1 win away from their first trip to the ALCS since 2013. This was the Tigers' first home playoff game since I think 2014. So it had been a pretty decade ago before we saw this. The Tigers started Montero from the bullpen. They did a bullpen day. Guardians went with Alex Cobb, who in 3 innings gave up 2 earned runs on 3 hits. Not a bad start, but in the postseason, when your offense is struggling like this, you can't be giving up runs, so he only goes 3 innings. Bullpen comes in, does really nice job, besides Morgan, who gave up the 1 run to Torkelson. But yeah, from there, Hunter came in for 3 1/3 for the Tigers. He gave up 5 hits, was no runs, dominant. Brisky then came in for a 2-inning hold. Gunter with a one out, 1 hit kind of inning for him. Vest an inning in the third, and then Holton records a save, 3 holds, and the win goes to Herter in this one. Just great stuff from the Tigers, really. The pitching's been dominant. And if you go back to game one in this series, that is now 20 straight innings. The Guardians haven't scored a run. And in a 5-game postseason series, that doesn't cut it in the slightest. So at home, or on the road in Detroit, haven't scored in 20 innings. Your backs are on the road here. And one more loss sends you guys packing. So, game 4 in the ALDS here. Tigers and Guardians. The streak of scoreless innings ends because Lane Thomas singles in the first. That lasted like 0 seconds. Kwan gets a hit. Manzardo gets a hit. Lane Thomas comes in top of the first, does the job, and that gets Cleveland a 1-run lead, and that's huge for them. But in the bottom of the second, the Tigers come through. Trey Sweeney, a sac fly, brings in Detroit. It's a tie game. It would stay tied until the top of the fifth, where it's Jose Ramirez. He has had a quiet postseason, but this was a loud swing. Absolutely crushes a baseball, and Ramirez gets the Guardians the lead back 2-1 Cleveland. But in the bottom of the fifth, not even a full inning, the Tigers clap back. It's Zach McKinstry, a solo shot. Right back, the Tigers are 2-2 game. In the bottom of the sixth, how about Winsel Perez? What a season he had for a rookie. He singles a baseball through. Tigers have the lead in the sixth. You're feeling confident. You're feeling good. You're 9 outs away from a trip to the ALCS. Top of the seventh, enter David Fry with Stephen Kwan on. Launches a pinch hit 2-run home run. Cleveland takes the lead, 4-3 Guardians. Top of the ninth, it's David Fry once again. This time it's a sac bunt that scores Brian Rocchio, and that's a huge insurance run because in the bottom of the ninth, Jace Young grounds out for a run as Justin Henry Malloy comes in to score to make it 2 outs in the inning, but they still needed 1 run, and against Class A, they may have beaten him in Game 2, but they were not going to beat him twice. Guardians hold on. Class A, the save. They win this one 5-4, and we have a Game 5 being played tomorrow. So very good game here. Tanner Bybee went on the mound for the Guardians. 4 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs, 3 Ks. While it was Reese Olson for the Tigers. 4 innings, 5 hits, an earned run, and 4 Ks. So both quality starts, and this was definitely kind of the best game of the series in my mind so far. You've had one-way affairs, close games, close scoreless games, but a lot of pitching and little offense. This one was a nice, happy mix of pitching and offense, a nice 5-4 game here. And the Tigers fall short. It was an opportunity to win at home and finish off your division rival, essentially, division AL Central winner. But instead, you got to take a trip back to Cleveland and face the Guardians one more time. A little worrisome, in my mind, if I was Cleveland, because it has already been announced that for Game 5 tomorrow, it will be Mr. Tarek Skubal on the mound for the Tigers. Which, okay, a little bit of hit or miss here. He pitched on Monday, so Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, so he's still pitching on full day's rest. So yeah, never mind. Guardians fans, be worried. Tarek Skubal with a game on the line. A win here kind of cements him. I know these stats and numbers and outings don't affect Cy Young or MVPs or anything like that, but this will go down as one of the best seasons of his career. And if he gets this win and moves the Tigers to face on the Yankees, that would be huge. And a little spoiler there, I guess I should say, because we haven't talked about that yet, but we will now because we are finished with the Tigers and Guardians. It's a 2-2 series, and they're heading to Game 5 tomorrow. David Fry clutches up in Game 4. So, now let's talk about the Royals and the Yankees. Who's going to win this series? I wonder. Starting things off, we got Game 2 between these two teams in New York. It's the Royals who lost the first game, so it's the Yankees in control here. And it's Cole Reagans on the mound for the Royals, Carlos Rodon on the mound for the Yankees. And let me tell you, Rodon got cocky very early. He strikes out the side in the first. And, you got to just, reel it in a little bit. It's a postseason game. I know emotions are high here, but he seemed very confident in his pitching, and that kind of got away from him in this one. First run scored in the bottom of the third. It's Giancarlo Stanton who singles in a run here, make it 1-0 New York. But the Royals are right back in it in the top of the fourth. A beautiful shot from the umpire camera. Salvador Perez launches one into the New York Knights to tie the game up at 1. And then the inning kind of gets away from Carlos Rodon and the Yankees a little bit. Tommy Pham, he singles in a run. Garrett Hampson singles in a run. Miguel Garcia singles in a run. And that's 3 runs that score after the home run. It's a 4-run inning, and that also does it for Rodon in this game as he's yanked. And it would stay 4-1 for the longest time until the bottom of the ninth. The Yankees, with their final 3 outs to go, Jazz Chisholm launches a home run into the New York Knights down the right field line to make it a 4-2 game, and that's how it stays. The Royals even up the series 4-2 and get a gutty win here. And I mean gutty here. The Royals had to scrape for this one. Cole Reagans. I missed up the C's and the R's. 4 innings of work, 3 hits, an earned run, and 5 Ks. He also had 4 walks, though. That's why he didn't really go as long. The Yankees were working him really well. Shout out Royals bullpen because they looked great. Schreiber, Bubic, Lucas Urseg, Zerpa, just top-notch stuff there. And, the Yankees really went through it in this game in terms of their pitching. Carlos Rodon only went 3 2/3, giving up 7 hits on 4 runs on 7 hits with 7 strikeouts to his name. But then after him, it was Ian Hamilton, it was Cousins, Hill, Holmes, Canely, Meza, Weaver. They used 7 guys of their bullpen to kind of just get through this one. And also kind of just managed by Boone. Of course, some of these guys were going 1 out, 2 outs, and just calling it a day. Most of them didn't go a full inning of work here. But, a tough one for the Yankees here because it was a winnable game for sure. Stanton's running holds them back a little bit when he's on because he could be scoring runs for them that just are coming up short. Him running is just kind of a sad sight to see. But good stuff for the Royals. Good to kind of stay in the fight here and even up the series, and now you take the series home. So that's what you love to see. And speaking of being at home, that means it's Game 3, and it's going to be Clark Schmidt on the mound for the Yankees, while Seth Lugo goes for the Royals. And a good game here. You had a very enjoyable game here. Kind of a Stanton game here, as on top of the fourth, he doubles in the first run of this ball game to make it 1-0 New York. Very next inning, in top of the fifth, Soto, a sac fly, makes it 2-0 Yankees. But in the bottom of the fifth, right after that sac fly, Kyle Isbell, he gets a double to make it a 1-run game. And then Michael Massey, an RBI triple. It was a great hit past the diving Soto. That ties the game up at 2. Great stuff there. With stay 2-2, pitchers doing their best to kind of keep it close. And then in the top of the 8th, Stanton gets to Bubic. Blast one into the Royal Knight. It's a 1-run lead for the Yankees. Stanton's solo shot ends up being the difference in this game. The Yankees win it 3-2. And they are 1 win away from an ALCS trip. Schmidt was good. 4 2/3, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, a walk, and 4 Ks. Seth Lugo, 5 innings pitched, 2 hits, 2 earned runs, 4 walks, 2 Ks. So nothing out of the ordinary, wow, what a great performance, but also not anything too dog where it's like, wow, you've lost us this game with how bad you pitched. Yeah, it was just coming down to Stanton, really. And, when you hit a home run, it doesn't matter how slow you try around those bases. So that's what Stanton needs to be doing. He comes through here. Luke Weaver has been great. And how about the Yankees bullpen, to be fair? They have been phenomenal. And I'll go over them shortly here after talking about Game 4. But, credit where credit's due, because right now you are in a driving seat. And that's what you love to see, and part of it is because of how great the team has been, Yankees wise, with their pitching. So we'll go over that as well. But for now, we've got Game 4, and it's kind of a rematch: Garrett Cole versus Michael Wacha. And Garrett Cole's the ace, trying to finish it off, trying to get the Yankees that series win. Within 3 pitches, Soto is singling Gleyber Torres in to score. It was a quick strike attack against Wacha that works. Yankees have a 1-run lead. Top of the 5th, Gleyber Torres, he singles in a run to make it 2-0, and then Stanton in the top of the 6th singles in a run. 3 runs come into score for the Yankees through 6. Meanwhile, the Royals are just not able to touch the Yankees and Garrett Cole. It just wasn't happening. Tough to see, but can you turn it around a little bit here? In the bottom of the 6th, Vinny Pasquantino, he doubles in a run for the Royals. They finally get to Cole in the inning, and unfortunately, that's where it ends. It ends with Royals can't score anymore after that. 3-1, your final. The Yankees celebrate as they are taking a trip to the ALCS. Yes, the Yankees are back in the ALCS after missing the postseason last year. That's got to feel good for them. It's got to feel good for Garrett Cole because he pitched absolutely fantastic. 7 innings of work, 6 hits, an earned run, and 4 strikeouts. Clay Holmes gets an inning of work with a K, and then Luke Weaver gets the 3rd save. He saved all 3 games for the Yankees in this series, striking out 2, and he's been fantastic. As I said, that Yankees bullpen has been phenomenal. How many guys do you think in that Yankees bullpen has given up a run? You got Luke Weaver, Tim Meza, Tommy Kahnle, Clay Holmes, Tim Hill, Ian Hamilton, and Jay Cousins together haven't given up a run yet, which is pretty impressive to say the very least here. Luke Weaver has played in all 4 games, 4 1/3, 2 hits, 5 strikeouts. That's the stuff that's, keep that up. Tim Meza, he's gotten 2 outs. Kahnle, 3 innings of work in 3 games, 3 strikeouts, no hits allowed. Clay Holmes pitched in 4 games, 5 innings of work, 3 hits, 3 Ks, no earned runs. So up and down, this bullpen's been absolutely fantastic for the Yankees. And I talked about it in the preview. I thought this bullpen was questionable. I look at these guys here. I don't really trust anyone. Clay Holmes has been so shaky this season that he, got demoted from the closer role. Tommy Kahnle, he's like a wild card at times. Luke Weaver's been the only guy recently that was solid for the Yankees. So, I didn't really have faith in it. And here we are. They've been putting in work and doing a great job. Let's not take away that the Royals kind of, their offense kind of hid in this series. I didn't really see anything too outstanding. There's a couple guys with some nice hits here and there. Very little Bobby Witt, unfortunately, which is kind of like, if you guys are going to win a series here, it's going to be Bobby Witt that carries you. And he really had a tough series, 2 for 17 in the series. But most Royals were like that, guys that let in hits. Miguel Garcia was 6 for 16. Tommy Pham, 5 for 11. Michael Massey, 4 for 15. But on the other hand, you had, Vinny Pasquantino, 1 for 16, that RBI hit. MJ Melendez, 2 for 13. Salvador Perez, 3 for 16. And they're getting a couple RBIs here and there. They're scraping up a couple runs against the Yankee starters. But once they went to that bullpen, it was pretty much over. They couldn't touch them. And, if you can't touch a bullpen, if you can't score runs late, usually you're down in that situation, so you end up losing those games. And that's kind of what happened to the Royals here in the series. So Will Smith will not be winning his 4th straight World Series with a 4th different team. Unfortunate, but the Yankees will have a trip to the ALCS. They've made it to the ALCS 5 times since 2010. Coming up short all 5 times. So is this the year where they can make it back to the World Series for the first time since 2009? All right, so that's 6 games down and 4 to go. Let's switch it on over to the NLCS. We've got 2 more 1-1 series here. Mets and Phillies is where we're going to start things off. Game 3, we are back in New York and back in Citi Field. For the first time in a long time for the Mets, they had a long away road trip, then the day with the Braves, on the road series with the Brewers, and now here they are finally back in Citi Field, and they did not disappoint. Bottom of the second, it's Pete Alonso. He hits his 3rd home run of the postseason. That makes it 1-0 Mets. 2 innings later, Jesse Winker absolutely demolishes that baseball to make it 2-0 Mets off of 2 home runs. Bottom of the 6th, it's Starling Marte. A 2-run single puts them up 4-0. And in the bottom of the 7th, for good measure, Jose Iglesias gets a 2-run single. It's all coming up Mets here in Game 3. Top of the 8th, the Phillies will get some offense. Finally, it's Bryce Harper, a single to make it 6-1, and then Castellanos right behind him with a single. So back-to-back RBI singles for the Phillies makes it a 4-run game. But in the bottom of the 8th, Francisco Lindor, he will double in a run, makes it 7-2 Mets, and that is how this one ends. It's your final. Mets take a 2-1 series lead and is 1 win away from the NLCS. This game featured Aaron Nola versus Sean Manaea on the mound. And let me tell you, Manaea was awesome. He was fantastic. 7 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, and 6 Ks. It could have been a lot worse too. Phillies had some opportunities, just couldn't make it happen. And I mean, that was definitely the difference in this game for sure. And, I mean, hey, credit where credit was due. Manaea was beautiful in this game. Aaron Nola, 5 innings, 5 hits, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, and 8 Ks. Not kind of the start he was hoping for. You know, you're giving up those 2 solo shots and then, part of the 2-run 6th inning there for Marte. And it just kind of got away from him and the Phillies in this one. And, I mean, it's the kind of the offense that's, to blame in this situation and in this series for Philly here. But there's still Game 4 and a potential Game 5, so let's see what happens here in Game 4. Can the Mets win and move on, or will the Phillies make it a Game 5 win or go home? It is Ranger Suarez versus Jose Quintana on the mound, and it was very pitching heavy. Not a lot of offense in this one. Top of the 4th, Alec Bohm will reach on a fielder's choice. The throw is bobbled, can't be made, and in comes to score Harper. 1-0 Philly, and it would stay like this until the bottom of the 6th. The bases are loaded. And it's Francisco Lindor who has another amazing moment. Crushes the baseball. Is it going to go to deep right center field? Yes, it is. Francisco Lindor, a grand slam. 4-1 Mets. And Phillies had 9 outs to play with from that point on. They just couldn't get it done against Edwin Diaz or David Peterson, who has been great for the Mets this postseason out of that bullpen. He's been a huge part in the Mets' success. And Edwin Diaz gets the save. The Phillies, they're eliminated. The Mets are moving on to the NLCS. They take Game 4, win the series 3-1, and they will have a trip with another team in the NLCS. Both New York teams are moving on. And that just goes to show you, man, anything can happen in the postseason. People are complaining about the bye weeks and stuff, and something we'll go into in a later day, but Mets take both games at home. The Phillies offense, man, is definitely what to look at. Obviously, Bryce Harper was good for 12, had a home run, 2 doubles. That's kind of what you expect out of him. Castellanos had 7 hits and 17 at-bats. I mean, you can't blame Castellanos. It was just some of the guys at the bottom of that lineup there. Brandon Marsh, 1 for 13. Alec Bohm, 1 for 13. JT Realmuto didn't have a hit in this series. He was 0 for 11. That can't happen. Johan Rojas, 1 for 5. Trey Turner, 3 for 15. Not really ideal. He didn't have a RBI in the series. Kyle Schwarber, he was 2 for 16 with the home run, which is, 2 hits isn't really enough here. Outside of Turner, Harper, and Castellanos, no other hitter had more than 3 hits in the series. Everyone had 2 or less, unless you were Castellanos, who had 7, Harper, who had 4, and then Turner, who had 3. And even Turner with 3 is, abysmal. You're a team built with so much offense. We've seen it all year long, and when it matters the most, it just goes quiet. And obviously the Mets were hot. They were coming in with a great game against the Braves and a great series against the Brewers. And momentum's a huge thing, especially for the postseason. But, you guys need a hit. You had seen each other 13 times this season. It's not like a unfamiliar foe. It's your division rival, essentially. And, it just wasn't happening. You look through the averages even. Like, it just was tough, Everyone's got 200, 125, 077. Like, Bowman Marsh, you got to step up more than that. Like, it's the postseason. It's the moments here. So, tough one for Philly. I mean, it's going to be a look in the mirror and say, hey, how did we go wrong here? Even the pitching is solid, Like, I don't discredit the Phillies pitching, really. You gave up a couple more runs than you should have, maybe. Ranger Suarez was good his start. Zach Wheeler was dominant. The bullpen, you kind of gotta scratch your head. Jeff Hoffman, how to get away from him so much. He was an all-star this season. Jose Alvarado, where was he in this series? He only pitched in 1 game. And that's kind of a guy that you relied on last postseason. Matt Strom, I mean, he pitched in all 3 games. We gave up 4 runs though. Like, why were you continuing to start him when you had Alvarado and obviously Carlos Estevez, 3 games, 2 and 2 innings, 2 earned runs. I mean, the bullpen was solid. There was right pieces here. I just think it just wasn't clicking. They were kind of limping into the postseason a little bit with, the way they've been playing. It wasn't really anything electric and hot like we had saw from them at the beginning of the season. But, you need to make that turnaround quick, and they just couldn't do it. So, yeah, credit where credit's due. I mean, Quintana in the game 4, 5 innings, 2 hits, no earned runs. And 5K, 6K, so I mean, good stuff there. Ranger Suarez was good as well. 4 in an inning, 5 hits, or 4 and a third in the innings, 5 hits, 8 strikeouts, but 4 walks, and those walks can hurt you. Jeff Hoffman came in and gave up, load the bases, and then Carlos Estevez came in and gave up the home run to Lindor. So, tough one for the Phillies to swallow. I'm sure they're going to be looking at ways to improve the team in the offseason, but the Mets and their magic, their 6-seed Grimace magic, keep it rolling, and they're waiting in the NLCS for the other NLDS series to talk about here, and the big one here still, Dodgers and Padres. How much fun has this series been? And it only gets better in my mind. This series has been great to watch. And the series tied 1-1. We got game 3. It's Walker Buehler on the mound facing Michael King. How funny was this? Mookie Betts in the first inning slaps a ball to deep left field, jerks and profile, runs over. He catches it questionably off the glove. Mookie Betts was running back to the dugout. That would have been crazy for Mookie Betts' psyche. Instead of another first inning home run robbing catch for Profar, Mookie Betts wins this battle and gets the Dodgers on the board, a 1-0 solo shot. That's got to feel good for Mookie Betts, who's been struggling as well in this series and really all postseasons coming off from last season as well. But in the bottom of the second, things get away from Buehler and the Dodgers big time. Xander Bogaerts reaches on a fielder's choice, and that allows a run to score. And then Dave Peralta, he gets a 2-run double, makes it 3-1. Of course, this was, I say fielder's choice, ball like bounced off heads. And also in the inning, it was a 6-run inning. I'm getting way ahead of myself. Xander Bogaerts, the fielder's choice. Dave Peralta, the 2-run double. Kyle Higashioka, he gets a sac fly, and then it's Fernando Tatis Jr. And I mean, Padres fans, you gotta love this guy. He has been so amazing this postseason. A postseason leading 4th home run of for Fernando Tatis makes it a 6-run inning. Padres all the way back in this one. but it gets shaky in the next inning. Top of the third, the bases are loaded. Teoscar gets into one, sending it to deep center field, and that one is gone. A grand slam for Teoscar Hernandez, and it's 6-5. Padres still leading, and from that point on, it was the bullpens that were just shutting things down. No more runs after the first 3 innings in this one. That's 6 innings of nothing. Padres hold on. They take a 2-1 series lead. And I mean, credit where credit's due for Buehler, because even after giving up those 6 runs, he stayed in the game for a lot longer than I would have let him go. 5 innings pitched, 7 hits, 6 earned runs, a walk, and no strikeouts. Tough one for Buehler, but the bullpen was solid there from the Dodgers. For the Padres, Michael King went 5 innings, 5 hits, 5 earned runs. Of course, that grand slam was definitely costly for him, a walk and 3 Ks. But from there, the bullpen was great. Estrada an inning, Jason Adam an inning, Tanner Scott 2/3, and then Robert Suarez came in for an inning and a 3rd save. Padres get the job done and are looking to win Game 4 and move on to the NLCS. It would be a bullpen day for the Dodgers. Crazy to think of that. Ryan Brazier versus Dylan Cease for Game 4 here, and it was a crazy game because you think the Padres have all the momentum in the world. Top first, it's Mookie Betts again. This one's not going to Profar, but it is a home run. Another first inning home run for Mookie Betts, and the Dodgers are up early in this one. Then top of the second, Shohei Ohtani, he singles in a run, and then Mookie Betts right behind him singles in another one. 3-0 Dodgers. Top of the third, Will Smith gets into one, a 2-run home run for him. It makes it 5-0 Dodgers. Top 7, the Dodgers have to challenge a play, but it doesn't matter. A run would score on it. 6-0 Dodgers, and then just for good measure, Gavin Lux gets into one, a 2-run home run. It makes it 8-0 Dodgers. One of the largest shutouts in MLB's postseason history. Dodgers win at 8-0, kill all the Padres' momentum, and they're forcing them to come back to the LA Stadium with them, Dodger Stadium, to face them in a Game 5 win or go home series. The Padres just couldn't handle this bullpen day. Credit this Dodgers bullpen here. Outstanding stuff. Brazier, Bandan, Kopech, Vesia, Evan Phillips, Daniel Hudson, Blake Trinan, Knack, all the guys just shoved in this game. Dodgers bullpen been pretty lights out as well. Dylan Cease just doesn't have it against the Dodgers again. An inning and 2/3, 4 hits, 3 Ks. They bring in Hoeing. He allows 3 hits, 2 runs, and 2 outs. 2/3 of an inning. Before they had a little bit of stability before Wandy Peralta later in the game where he get the Gavin Lux 2-run home run. So I mean, it's anyone's ball game. It is today, and I cannot wait to watch. It's going to be a great ball game to end it. And, Padres, you had all the momentum in the world, and you just get shut out at home, which is just brutal. Absolutely brutal for the Padres. Game 5 will be very telling today. I'm very excited to watch that. But that's how the games played out this week. 10 baseball games through and through. Yankees and Mets, the 2 New York teams, move on. Does that mean that there's a Subway Series in the making? Potentially. Let's take a look quickly here before we kind of wrap up for today. There's not too much to cover up. Game 5s. Coming in today at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, or 8:08. It's the Padres, it's the Dodgers. Win or go home. Yu Darvish versus Yoshinobu Yamamoto. It's the first time in postseason history that both starters for the teams are from Japanese-based, they're Japanese. So that's very cool for the game and the sport, and, obviously Japan. Darvish, kind of the veteran, one of the originals, and Yamamoto, first year in the big leagues. He had a tough first start against the Padres. Can he rebound? It's going to be a very interesting game, one to watch for sure. And then tomorrow, it'll be Game 5, Tigers and Guardians. Who are the Guardians going to match up against Tarek Skubal? And whoever it is, doesn't even matter. It will be up to the Guardians hitters. If they cannot get through to Tarek Skubal, it's going to be a tough one in Cleveland. That game is at 8:08 Eastern Standard Time tomorrow as well on Saturday. So 2 Game 5s. The Mets and the Yankees will wait patiently. And and then on Sunday as well, because obviously I upload Mondays. The Game 1 of the NLCS. So the Mets will be on the road, so they will have to head to either LA or San Diego, depending on who wins today. So whoever wins today for the Padres and Dodgers, they'll have to play already on Sunday against the Mets. And then for the ALCS, Game 1 gets underway on Monday, so we'll be talking about that. We'll be talking about the 2 Game 5s, the first game of the NLCS, and then kind of preview a little bit of the AL and NLCS on Monday as we continue into this postseason's getting closer and closer to the World Series. But yeah, that's all I really have time for, or at least I, have things to say. There's not really much else that happened. There was a small bench clearing between the Royals and Yankees in Game 4. It wasn't anything too crazy. That's why I didn't really mention it. But yeah. Yankees move on, Mets move on. Game 5s, Padres, Dodgers, Guardians, Tigers. Thank you everybody so much for listening. I hope you had a great week, enjoyed some baseball, or sports of your choice. Hockey's back now, football's, in full swing, week 6 coming up, basketball on the horizon. So there's other sports happening, other great stuff going on, but nothing better than little October postseason baseball. I appreciate you all. Thank you buddy so much, and I will see you on Monday.